Welcome back to Happy Health. I'm your host, Gayatri. How many you want to look good in your favorite outfit? And how many you want to have that glowing skin when you look in the mirror with all the makeup and your favorite dress on and getting ready? So I know all of us want that, right? When you look in the mirror, you want to be happy with what how you look, how you feel. So we are going to give you some tips and advices on how to look good, how to feel good, how to stay healthy, and how to be at your best. And I'm going to welcome someone who is going to give you wonderful tips and advice on this. Without any further ado, let me welcome Monica Batra to the show. Hi, Monica. How are you?
Hi Gayatri, I'm good. How have you been?
I am good. Are you excited to give some tips to our viewers?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
The last episode was super success, so I'm really, looking forward to this episode as well.
Yes. At Happy Health, we consider everybody beautiful, right? We don't scrutinize anyone on the shape or how they look, but we want to give some tips on how to stay healthy and how to diet sustainable way, right? So my first question is, no matter, some people always complain that they age faster. Is there any is something to do with the diet, or is something to do with the hormones, or both? Can you give us some tips on that? What's happening there?
Okay, so Gayatri, see, in my opinion, if you look at aging today,
Hmm.
we always look at the mirror and
Yeah.
we feel that, there are wrinkles, so that is aging.
Yeah.
Or, we put on weight, so that is aging.
Hmm.
But actually, aging is not only the, external appearance. Yeah,
Yes.
right. So if you go to see, we don't realize that, our brains or our heart is much more than our age.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
for example, if you go to see some 2 3 decades ago, it would be only people who are above 60 years, above 70 years would get diabetes or heart attacks. But
Yes.
now, even a youngster of 18, 20, even 22, they are actually, suffering from heart problems. They have high cholesterol. So aging is not external. Aging is
Uh-huh.
something, which is internal, and then
Hmm.
it shows outside. The
Yes.
problem with us today is that we only look at, the external aging. Okay,
Yeah.
we don't look at something like,
Happening
how
inside.
your brain aging or not. Now, for instance, for
Hmm.
your brain to be active,
Hmm.
okay, there are a lot of synapses, there are a lot of reactions, chemicals, transmissions going on. The brain is telling your body something, your stomach something, your kidney something, and the kidney is passing information to the brain. Now all this activity would be up to its maximum when there is movement.
Hmm.
Okay, when there is some kind of an exercise. But what we do today is maximum of our time is on the screen. Even kids, okay, at
Yeah.
least 5 hours they are on screen.
Yes.
And we then uh, if the brain is not working enough, okay, then it starts aging. For
Yes.
instance, you put a plaster on your hand.
Hmm.
After 20 days, your brain stops working, and the brain would not move that hand on its own. You have to
Hmm.
start practicing again to move
Yes.
that hand, you right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Because something which is not used,
Mm-hmm.
the brain would not spend it efforts on it. So
Yes.
if you are not moving much,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and not using those synapses, okay, that are happening in the brain is going to leave that area, and
Okay.
then it starts aging. And that is
Okay.
why you see so many depression cases. Okay, there are not good hormones released,
Mm-hmm.
serotonin,
Mm-hmm.
dopamine. There are good hormones that are released when you exercise or when there is movement. For
Mm-hmm.
example, our ancestors on an average would walk 5 to 6 kilometers a day.
Yes.
Okay, like
Mm-hmm.
doing the household chores, or maybe they would not take taxis, they would save money, right?
Of
So
course.
that way, so
Mm-hmm.
they had a lot of movement, and that
Yes.
is why they have a lot of activity. But
Yes.
today we order everything online, so there is no activity. When there is no
Mm-hmm.
activity, there are less of these hormones released.
Mm-hmm.
And so sadly, Gayatri, like if you think of aging today, we always think of how your skin is, or how your weight is. That is the only thing when it comes to aging, what we think. But aging is always internal. Okay, and then it shows. Now, for instance, You must have seen, people who are not even 15 to 17 years of age, they have gray hair. Okay, so
Mhm.
that is because there is some internal aging happening, and that is
Yes.
showing outwards, a little late, quite early. Now,
Yeah.
for instance, our forefathers would have diabetes or heart issues once they've crossed 60, 65. But we
Yes.
see, diabetes and heart issues when you are only 20, 22 or as well. So somewhere our heart is already aged up. But when
Yes.
we think of aging, we think of our skin, how
Mhm.
our hair is, and
Yeah.
how the weight is. That is
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So I think if you want to control your aging part, now for instance, brain aging, okay, we don't
Mhm.
never think about this. The only thing we look up, in the mirror is how is the skin, if there are any wrinkles, and we want to remove every single bit of pigmentation, right? It
Yes.
should be
Yes.
all clear white,
Yes.
that way. But there are reasons why this happened, because somewhere there
Mm-hmm.
is minimal activity. Now, for example, a child has to attend 5 hours of school on screen, right?
Yes.
We order groceries online, we
Mm-hmm.
order everything online. So there is minimal activity. When there is good activity, like our forefathers, they used to travel or walk at least 5, 6 kilometers a day. They
Yeah.
would save
Mm-hmm.
money, and they would not take cabs. They would
Yes.
do all the household things themselves. So activity was there. And when this activity is there, there are hormones like serotonin, there are neurotransmitters like GABA, norepinephrine. Now all this are released when there is enough activity.
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't have this activity as of now, you
Yes.
see, in spite of having all the luxuries, we have higher cases of depression,
Yes.
because hormones like serotonin, which are, you see teenagers today, they are more aggressive, they have more anger, they have more mood swings, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And many researchers have shown that, if you have a lot of activity in your routine, automatically things like serotonin are released, which help in your mood,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that does help in your brain aging. Now, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you have a plaster on your hand,
Mm-hmm.
after 20, 25 days, when you remove the plaster, you again have to start, a basic exercise of your hand, so that your brain remembers and start working on it. When
Wow.
you have the plaster, when you're not using your hand, the brain does not give any effort on it.
Yeah.
Similarly, when you're not using your activity, there are certain parts of the brain which are not working, or they're on just minimum effort.
Yes.
So for you to not age,
Mm-hmm.
we should think about how is your brain aging, how is
Mm-hmm.
your heart aging, and not how is your skin or how is your weight. As you said that we gain all the weight back in a little time period. The first thing is that never lose weight for a wedding, never lose weight for a birthday party. Lose weight as much as possible, not that go on crash diets. Lose as much as possible only with what you eat at home. If you
Yes.
boycott everything, you will gain it back.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you make it, like a routine, like your lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
that things that, I cannot stop rice, I cannot stop roti, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
then you would be able to sustain it. And that
Yeah.
is why if you see that diets like keto diets, some fancy diets, just make changes in your lifestyle, and how much ever you lose, that should
Yeah.
be fine. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, if you want to target aging,
Mm-hmm.
target your brain aging,
Mm-hmm.
eventually it is dementia, depression that catches you, in
Yes.
the long run. It is your heart issues that catches you, it is your diabetes. And
Yes.
all this can be taken care of if there is minimal activity, minimal exercise. So
Yeah.
now what we do is, what we do is we just tend to do our 30 minutes of walk,
Mm-hmm.
and then we are all day on
Looking
social
for
media, and we
beauty.
feel that, we have done what it should be, should be achieved. But again, as I said, there are hormones like, BDNF, which is like kind of a fertilizer for your brain. Now these are all neurotransmitters. Once you start exercising and they are released on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
automatically you would start aging slowly internally.
Okay.
When coming to diet, there, when we are growing up, when we are in our teenage, we are actually, um, we have a lot of growth hormone
Mm-hmm.
released
Mm-hmm.
naturally in the body.
Yeah.
Now if you feel that, once later, say after 30 or after 40, you start gaining even if you're eating the minimum. The
Yeah.
reason is our growth hormone is declining. So if
Yes.
you want your growth hormone to be at par with your age, you
Mm-hmm.
need exercise.
Okay.
Or what you could do is maybe you start with intermittent fasting, wherein
Mhm.
you actually eat very less in the evening hours. Okay.
Okay.
Now this, what happens is, these things actually help you release your growth hormone. Now
Mm-hmm.
how this helps in aging is, for instance, if you had a heavy dinner,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you had your dinner at 10 and you slept at 11, okay,
Mm-hmm.
now internally your body has to still work even if you're
Yes.
sleeping physically.
Yes.
Okay, your heart has to actually provide blood for the all that digestion taking
Mm-hmm.
place. Your
Mm-hmm.
liver, at midnight 3:30 it's clearing the toxins.
Yeah.
Okay, and your gallbladder is working to clear all those things. Your kidneys are working. Okay, because internally the body has been working
Working hard at night. Yes.
working hard. So
Mm-hmm.
eventually it starts aging earlier.
Okay.
Okay, because if you are working out of your biological clock,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, if you have to, be awake all night every
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
and sleep in the day,
Mm-hmm.
you will start seeing wrinkles on your face. Similarly, the cells inside our internal organs
Mm-hmm.
are affected because somehow they are working, if they have to go one way, they are coming in the reverse direction. So
Yeah.
that is how your aging starts. That is
Okay.
how your heart is aging faster. That is how your skin is aging faster. So these are simple things like
Yes.
hyperactivity,
Yes.
and keep early dinners, don't eat heavy at night. We all know this,
Yeah.
but the only thing is we are not able to practice somehow. We sleep at 2:33 in the night with
Yes.
all the vitamin C on the face so that the next day the face is glowing up, but it won't.
Yes.
Somehow your skin cells also need to sleep,
Yes.
and then you would see that natural glow, and that maybe can delay your aging that way.
That is a great advice, and a lot of people don't realize sleep is so important. Even though you are a healthy eater and everything, the sleep is very important. That's really good.
And the most
And
important part is not everybody fits into this weight criteria. Now, for example, if I'm 5'5" in height, my weight should be 60 kgs. Okay,
okay.
as per the or sorry, I would say the range is, I should be at least 55 to 60 kgs.
Okay.
Now, for me, after 3 pregnancies, it's very difficult to get back. I am the nutritionist, okay, and here I'm selling weight loss plans, but
Yeah.
trust me, for me it is very difficult to get down beyond 63. It doesn't
Mhm.
work for me. I
Yes.
have to starve, I have to exercise too much. So it is not that you have to be worried about the weight part only.
Yes.
Just see how is your activity level. Just
Yeah.
see if your blood parameters are normal. Always check your annual checkup, and if your heart is okay, if your kidneys are okay, if your
Yeah.
liver is okay, that is what will prevent you from aging, and not the weight. Excess of exercise also will lead to stress,
Yes.
and will raise your stress hormones like cortisol, semi-cortisol, and will lead to aging.
Yes.
So the most important part is you should not be fixed on a number. Now with
Yeah.
we all Asians, especially Indians, we have our genetic structure is different. Some are lower on the weight part and more on the muscle part. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to reach them. If they are 5'5", they should be 55, so I should be 55. But here I sell weight loss plans day in, day out. I'm myself not able, I can't reach 55 somehow.
Yes.
So the important part is that overall health should be considered,
Yeah.
and not only the that
Outer.
fixation of, yeah. Now people who copy celebrities, now they have an army to do the other things, right?
Yes.
And they have to
Yes.
just focus on this. They have a chef to do the certain kinds of meals, so
Yeah.
they can sustain it for a long time because somehow they have all the help. With you
Yeah.
and me, why we gain back, as you
Mhm.
said, as you stop dieting you gain back. You should not diet. You
Yes.
should just make a few changes, and so that you are healthy, your blood parameters are good.
Yeah.
That is something will not prevent will prevent your aging part that way.
Yeah, that's a great advice for someone who want to be healthy. Like we said, we all are beautiful. Don't worry about how you look, I mean, the shape and everything. It's what is internal. Is there any vitamins, specific vitamins that we should take?
Now, as
To
I said, as I said, there are a lot of things like the most how aging happen is if you don't provide the raw material.
Yes.
If the raw materials are your sunlight,
Mhm.
that we don't give because we are worried about our skin tanning, okay,
Yes.
that is a raw material. The exercise is a raw material. Then good sleep is the raw material. That again we are not able to, because it's very important for us, so that the Facebook keeps going. Otherwise, how would how would the world go? So we stay late at night. So these are the raw material: good sleep, good sunlight, so it's the habits, light dinners. And then the most common deficiencies that we see are deficiencies of DHA, okay, something which is very important for our brain health. Now this is also again because of we are not eating the right kind of food. Now for example, if you want to treat your DHA deficiencies, it would be you should take fish oils, you should take salmon, you should take mackerel, flax seeds, avocados, walnuts in everyday basis. Now, what we tend to do is actually we do it for once, twice. Not we are
Yeah.
not consistent with it. So if you give all this raw material, automatically your skin will stop aging, or will not age as fast as it should.
Yeah.
Okay. Then similarly, if you are having a lot of maida, a lot of bread, a lot of white in your diet.
Mhm.
Now, I would not say rice or the wheat flour, but if you are using all the processed items, then all the minerals and everything that goes on is in this the brown part of the wheat or the brown part of the rice. All it goes there as a waste. So
Yeah.
those things are required. The second most common deficiency that we see is B12. Most of us are now vegan. Okay,
Mhm.
we don't want to eat non-vegetarian food. Now some are vegan by religion or by
Mhm.
faith or whatsoever. But if you are somebody who is vegan, then make sure you're taking B12 supplements. If now, as I said last time, that you should avoid supplements,
Yeah.
but there are certain things that the body cannot make. These are essential things, right? So
Mhm.
make sure that you take B12 supplements. One B12 supplement, if you are deficient in B12 for 1 year, 2 year, third year, you start seeing the
Okay.
problems. You get thyroid, you get this, you get that. The
Yes.
reason is if you don't give the raw material, how
Mhm.
should the body
Body.
process things, and eventually that
Mhm.
leads to aging of your cells inside,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
that is what is seen outside,
Yeah.
right? So similarly, if you think that you don't want to age much, again you have to avoid high fat food, which will lead to your aging of heart.
Okay.
Okay, will lead to diabetes. And in the long run, like, there are a lot of people who would not go for proper advice in terms of medication, and they keep checking the sugar levels at home.
Yeah.
Now what they feel is it is okay because the sugar level is just there. Now
Mhm.
this high sugar, even if it is mildly high,
Mhm.
at home you're just checking it, even if it is mildly high and you are just managing it yourself, this high sugar will destroy your cells in the eyes, will destroy your cells in the kidneys, and that
Mhm.
is what is aging of your eyes, aging
Yes.
of your kidneys.
Yes.
And then
Mhm.
they get together and
Yeah.
you age. Now there are people who have lived 100 years, 104 years, right? Still
Yeah.
no dementia, still no
Yeah.
Alzheimer's problem. The reason is what they ate
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah.
right? And eventually, I mean, there are so many documentaries on YouTube. If you go to see,
Mhm.
they were just still working, okay, doing the simple household things every single day, eating from the garden, eating
Yes.
right, and
Yeah.
they are not into really junk. The
Yes.
only thing that the death can happen is because eventually you tend to, well, you give up, your body
Yeah.
gives up, and they
Mhm.
tend to die in sleep. But they don't really age. There
Yeah.
are women, especially down south, if you see down south of India, you see they always have black hair. Come
Yeah.
what may, they really don't die because they eat fish,
Mhm.
everyday diet. They have that coconut in everyday gravies.
Yeah.
Now we don't even eat coconut chutney with two idlis because it is fattening. But we don't
That.
spare,
Yeah.
when we take green tea, we take it with some 2 3 cookies, right? So that is a problem, too much of hype
Mhm.
and too much of information, and we don't know which is right. That is how it
True.
is.
Very true. Very true. what are some of the inherited diseases in the family that affect our aging?
Now, Gayatri, if you go to see, genetic plays a role. But what we
Yes.
have done today is we blame only the genetics. Okay. Now, for instance, heart diseases, kidney stones, or diabetes, we all blame it to, okay, my father had it, my
Yes.
father's brother had it, so we also have it.
Yeah.
Now, earlier too, these things were there, but it is only always 15% of genetics. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you have the seed, you know that your father had a heart issue or he was a diabetic, you know that you have the seed. You water it with a bad lifestyle and let
Yeah.
it flourish, right? So
Yeah.
if you know that you have certain diseases, like for example, in my family, everybody, has kidney stones, but none of us would actually go and drink water every, every few hours. We don't do that.
Yes.
And then again,
Yeah.
we land up into, the kidney stones. So when you have that seed,
Mm-hmm.
you should be more aware and you
Mm-hmm.
should be taking precautions. So if
Yes.
you feel that diabetes and cholesterol and liver fatty disease and everything is there in your family, don't serve your child Milo and milk. Okay, don't serve your child all the sweet things,
Yes.
because not only that he'll be habituated to these things, and he will grow in weight and he'll get those diseases. Not only that, anything sugary that you're giving to your child is reducing his immunity for at least next 7 to 8 hours. So
Yeah.
if you are eating a donut now, next 7 to 8 hours, if you know this is a seed you have, you have to be more, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be taking more precautions instead, just blaming it on the genetics. So
Mm-hmm.
genetics will play 15% of the role. And the second thing could be the environmental pollution that
Yeah.
we have. Okay, that also plays another
Of
role.
course.
The third thing is our no movement, or more of screen, that plays the third role. So
Yeah.
eventually everything boils down to uncomplicating, simplifying things and moving more, eating more vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
eating more pulses, and
Mm-hmm.
cutting down on carbs. Everything boils down to the same. If you
Okay.
have any such issue in the family, you should be careful beforehand.
Okay. Okay.
Lessen, the packed food, and lessen the maida, lessen the outside eating. For
Mm-hmm.
example, every weekend now it is a habit for us that every weekend now the kids feel that it is a routine. Saturday, Sunday, you have to eat out.
Yes.
We all have done this somehow, in
Yes.
last few years. If one Saturday or one Sunday, if you skip, your kids would start asking you that why are we going, we are not going out. The reason is we have made this habit. It
Yeah.
could be a sports session on Saturday. Why only eating every time? It
True.
could be a, walking on the beach
Yes.
session, or it could be just, a Ludo session at home.
Yes.
But why only eating outside?
Mm-hmm.
You and me must have ate outside, once a month, or
Yeah.
that would be a huge treat for us.
That's
So now
yes.
that we have spoiled the habits. So it is
Mm-hmm.
not about genetics, it is about our habits. It's just that we blame it easily on the genetics. Of
True.
course, all this genetics would play a role, but
Yeah.
it's more about our habits, I feel that way.
Yeah. I know you touched on this subject a little bit, the late night dinner, how it affects. What do you suggest? Like, if I go to bed around 10, should I have dinner like around 7? Is that enough time for digestion?
Ideally, the best thing is you should have your dinner, finish your dinner by 7, so that you
Okay.
have your 2.5 hours. And initially, because you are
Mm-hmm.
making this change,
Mm-hmm.
you would get up midnight hungry. Okay,
Okay.
because this has been like,
Yeah, I
we
know.
don't lose weight in one day, we don't gain weight in one day, right? Because we feel that okay, the next day my weight is higher, so one meal,
Mhm.
a little here and there would not help you gain or lose weight. So
Okay.
similarly, initially, generally when we stop eating in the night, and once a while when we eat, the next day the weight is a little higher. That doesn't mean that early eating is affecting it or late eating is affecting it, but your aging would depend on how early you're eating your dinner. For
Yeah.
example, our forefathers used to finish their meals by 6:30 in the evening. They would not eat after that, and the next meal would be next day morning at least 8. And
Yeah.
they did not
Yes.
have this concept of breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe snack, and so whatever they could find. So it is almost 14 hours of fasting,
Yes.
6 in the evening to next day 8. So it is like when you are fasting, the body is using the fats
stored.
stores. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to look on YouTube how
Mhm.
to burn belly fat. This is how you burn it. You just you know the body is already using fat stores. So
Yes.
initially early dinner would be a little difficult, but you can change your habits because you've if you have done late dinners from last 20 years, it
Mhm.
takes at least 20 days for your body to adjust, and then you are good to go. So that way you
Absolutely.
can, yeah.
Yeah. And what are some of the food and drinks that we should avoid? I mean, once a while, little wine, is that okay?
Of course, the once a while a little wine is fine. Once a while a pizza is fine. Once a while a donut is fine. As I said, one meal will not let you gain weight. One meal will not let you lose weight. But the problem with today is that people have started drinking wine because they feel it's good for heart. There is
Yeah,
no such
that's
thing, right? There is no one thing which will make your heart healthier. If
yeah.
you are not into alcohol, please don't get into alcohol because it is good for heart. No,
Yes.
if you really want those antioxidants, eat your vegetables, you'll get more of them. Eat grapes, you'll get more of them.
Yes, of
Rather
course.
than
Yeah.
getting into wine, you
Yeah.
start with one glass and good for heart, and you start increasing it. That's like, that should not be the case. We,
Okay.
like last time, as I mentioned, it is marketing.
Yes.
Wine is good for heart. It is a
Mhm.
kind of marketing. So
Yeah.
garlic is also good for heart,
Yes. Of
right?
course.
Yeah. So now we have garlic tablets. So we
Oh,
should not be going into, you see, you just need to simplify. If you feel that wine is good for heart,
mhm.
eat. It is more good for
Yeah.
your heart,
Yeah.
comparatively. So yes, once in a while,
Yeah.
everything is fine. But if you do this once in a while with pizza today, once in a while, and tomorrow donut once in a while, third day burger once in a while, every junk, if you include every single day once in a while, then it doesn't work
Exactly.
that way.
Exactly. So
So portion control, I would say.
yes, I think we learned a lot in this episode how to, how to have the habit of, sustainable diet. Like, don't just diet for the sake of losing weight, but make a lifestyle change, right? That's the main point that we,
I
discussed
would
in this
just
episode.
add a few pointers, maybe,
Yes, please.
very quickly.
Hmm.
Maybe what you could do is you could stay hydrated most of the times. Most of
Yeah.
the times we are thirsty and we don't realize and we tend to snack. Okay, so stay hydrated every single day. Many a times we don't know, there is a standard thing on Google that 8 glasses of water. Now,
Hmm.
8 glasses may be too much for you. It would be very less for me. Depends on how our body is. Now, for example, if you want to decide what is the right quantity of water for yourself, take a look at your urine. Okay, if it is
Okay.
very dark,
Uh-huh.
okay, increase your water content,
Okay.
and if it is very light, you are on the right track, right?
Okay.
So this is how you can actually adjust your water content. Now many a times it also happens that out of boredom or out of working continuously, we tend to snack. I would suggest that on your work table, on your desk table, keep something like infused water. It is very
Yeah.
refreshing. Just keep a jar of water with some lemon slices, some
Mhm.
mint leaves, some pudina,
Yes.
and some ginger, and you keep sipping on it. Your water content is every day, you can manage. You can also manage your snacking when you're
Mhm.
full
Mhm.
somehow, right? You manage your
Definitely. Yeah.
snacking that way. Second is sleep well. Try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleeping. Now it is only, there are people who would, I don't like this idea of people who miss their sleep hours and go to exercise. Then you're doing, there is no point. You're actually, you will lose the weight in numbers, but overall it is not really good for your health.
Healthy.
So there are
Mhm.
people who would go only to lose weight. They would sleep for 5 hours and start compensating the same time for exercise, because otherwise they don't have time. Now there is something which works very well for me, though in Singapore here the chewing gums are banned, right? So
Yes.
for somebody like me, I really need something in my mouth. Okay, if I'm chewing on something, I tend to snack a little less. Okay,
Yeah.
so if in your country chewing gums are allowed, I think you keep chewing. This is also, exercising your mouth muscles, and you tend to snack less because there is something in your mind, and this chewing gum takes care of it. Fourth, I would say, is fermented food.
Okay.
As I mentioned last time, any fermentation like idli, dosa, dhokla, khandvi, any fermented food, or even our humble curd is enough. Or
Okay.
if you can source kimchi, or making kimchi itself is very easy. Or just cut your vegetables, carrot, lettuce, and everything, and keep it in a jar and fill this jar with salted water.
Okay.
Okay, and after a week's time, there are a lot of recipes on Google for the same. After a week's time, your fermented vegetables are ready. So fermented vegetables again help in growth of good bacteria in your gut, which actually help your brain health.
Okay.
So it is all linked. Okay, if you give sugar, the pathogenic kind of bacteria will grow in your stomach, which actually destroys your brain health.
Okay.
So fermented food, I would say, limit your liquid calories. Now at work, we don't realize how many coffees, how many teas, how many colas, even if it is sugar-free cola, how many of it are going, and even if it is 0 calorie, you're giving your brain that addiction to that sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, even if it is sugar free, it gives the same signal. Okay, because it feels sweet, right? It gives the same signal. So count your liquid calories in a
Okay.
day. You may not be eating that, you cutting down on carbs, you're cutting down on so many things, but definitely you are hungry, you have a stomach, so you will, use something or the other. And here we compensate with liquids, that is coffee, teas, colas. Here all this thing will dehydrate you further. Coffee, tea, and cola all are caffeine and tannin, and it drains out whatever water you have in your body. So for every cup of one coffee, you need 3 cups of water to
Okay.
balance it out, which we
Okay.
generally don't take. For every cup of tea, we need 1 cup of water, which we generally don't take. Right? I think eighth thing would be include seeds.
Okay.
Make a mixture of pumpkin seeds, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, and keep it on your table. Whenever you need something, snack on this, and that is really healthy, right? So you can add some almonds, you can throw in some walnuts, and that would be something really healthy.
Thank
And
you.
last and not the least, do
Uh-huh.
not skip your main meals.
Okay.
When you, especially on the days when you have important meetings and you feel, for weight loss, if you're skipping your main meals, you tend to snack much higher on the,
Yes, for sure.
later part of the day.
Yeah.
I
So
hope I'm
thank you,
making some sense
Monica.
here.
I know you gave us so much information. Now we need to include that in our lifestyle. So thank you very much, viewers. I hope you will incorporate all this advice into your life. We'll be back with another episode of Happy Health. Thank you, everyone.